The founders included the Second Amendment in the Bill of Rights. They wanted to say this absolutely has to be one of the rights. The first one being free speech, which is incredibly important to protect us. The second being the ability to defend ourselves militarily from government. I think it's in the perfect spot of the Bill of Rights. It's right where it needs to be, and it's there. They added it because they had just fought a war against an oppressive government, and they wanted to make sure that we knew that we held the power, that we could pick up a rifle and go to war and put out a tyrannical government. There was wars going on in the early, I would say the late colonial days of the United States, with the British military coming in and fighting with the French and the Indians, and of course the French-Indian War. The British government had not sent soldiers necessarily to protect the colonists. So the colonists were basically, they formed these groups to defend the places where they lived from threats that were happening. There was a power struggle going on. So the militias were formed and pretty well armed. Not only armed to the level of the military, they had better armaments than the British military. Well, due to a number of factors of different people presenting themselves as militias and the way that the media has portrayed quote-unquote militias, I think most people in America today perceive the word militia, or an American in a militia, as a redneck, a hillbilly, an idiot, and a lot of times people who present themselves as militia members are not exactly aware of what a militia really is in the first place, and they don't understand the difference between a militia and an armed political group, which is two very different things. Until we step back and take a look at who we want to control our local areas, changing the perception of the militias isn't really, the perception doesn't need to be changed. I think they're fairly accurate. What needs to change is the actions that these people who want to be in a militia are taking. So in my travels of interviewing militia members across the United States, I was very impressed by the Idaho, I want to say it was the 43rd Lightfoot. Very well organized. They had a very good setup, and they had a mission statement, they had a rank structure, and they had standard operating procedures, and they had a basic understanding that this group was not political. It was a non-political group. There was no political aspirations of people in the group necessarily, supported by the group, and there was no sort of like prerequisites of things that they needed to believe to be part of this group. And in fact, they used a lot of their time to mentor some of the young men of the area around Boise. I'd say the two biggest obstacles today from raising back up a militia that makes sense and is doing its job is, one, the apathy of the people and just kind of letting our own government kind of wash over us and just allow them to do what they're doing. And number two is the actual government regulations that are attempting to start to regulate how I decide they're deciding for me what I need to defend myself. I'd like to choose that for myself, and that's part of why I like being an American, and part of the reason why I haven't left this country. I still live here. The absolute most important thing that you can do to be someone who wants to get into a militia or something like a self-defense group or a community group is to educate yourself. Read as many books as you can. You need to be reading John Locke and Hobbes and Thomas Paine and Madison. You want to read Jefferson. You want to read the Federalist Papers, the Anti-Federalist Papers. You need to read as much as you can so that you can become as intelligent as you can, so that you know the difference of what is wrong and what is right. It's never been more important than right now for you to step forward and say, I'm going to take command of my life, because no one's ever going to care for you more than you do. No one's going to feed you, no one's going to bathe you, no one's going to wipe your butt when you go to the bathroom. So if you want to protect yourself, the things that you own, and the ability to be free, then you need to consider the fact that the only thing that stands between the chains of slavery and those who wish to put us there is a man with his rifle. It's not enough to just pick up a rifle. It's not enough to just go out and get some training, which you definitely should do, but you need to become a leader, if not of other people, then of yourself, and be able to lead in your own life with your own family. We have the duty to ensure that we're not passing on the chains of slavery to our own children, because if we can avoid that, then we will truly become the greatest generation.